Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Herzog, the owner and founder of B&R Computers in Kutztown, Pennsylvania. Today, we're having a webinar on building your WISP. So this pertains to tax professionals as well as financial professionals. The WISP is something that the IRS is requiring of their agents and also of many financial institutions in general. So today we're going to review all this and help make sure that everyone's informed of what this is. So what is a WISP? So it is a legal foundation for your client data protection. So whether it's for financial institutions or tax professionals, this is something that is required of anybody that handles financial information. So a WISP is a formal documented policy that describes how your firm collects, stores, and protects and disposes of your client data. The IRS requires one for every tax professional with an EFIN or PTIN. So, whether you're an individual tax office or you have a group of 10 tax professionals in your office, the WISP is required of any size organization. So the IRS mandates it under the publication 4557 for all EFIN, PTIN holders. The FTC Safeguards, the GLB Act, it applies to that as well. And then EFIN protection. So without the WISP, you do risk losing your EFIN and also getting fines for not being compliant. So this WISP is a critical piece to tax professionals and financial institutions. So what the WISP must cover to be IRS and FTC compliant. So number one is data inventory. So what data do you collect? Where does it live? And who can access it? It's very important to know where your sensitive information is and who has access to it. So this WISP is helping you document that so that you are aware. Number two, so you've got designated security lead. So naming the individual that's accountable for your security program. So who's responsible for updating the WISP every year? If there's an issue, who is the person in charge of handling, if there's a breach or some other thing that may have happened that could have compromised your client's data, who is in charge of that? And then a risk assessment. So this is a documented identification of threats to client data. So risk assessments is going to be, what sensitive information is on the computers, what software vulnerabilities because of, missing software updates are on the computers as well. It pretty much uncovers any risks to the business, and the WISP requires that this is done, I believe it's yearly. Number four, so access controls and multi-factor. So password policies, and then ensuring that you've got multi-factor on all tax portals and software. So you've got to have this documented as well as implemented for your business. Number five, the data encryption. So whether the data is at rest, meaning it's just saved on the computer and you're not actively doing anything with it, or in transit, meaning you're sending it to a client or a client is sending it to you. Data encryption is required at all times to protect that data. So think of tax offices, if you're receiving or sending tax information via email, 9 times out of 10, that is not a safe, secure method of data transfer. So the secure method would be a secure document portal, a web page you go to and you upload, and then the client can download from that portal. Number six, employee training. So you've got to have documented phishing awareness and security training for your employees and yourself. And that helps keep you and your employees up to date on the latest risks and what to watch out for. So that way you are less vulnerable for clicking and becoming part of a scam or a breach. And then the last item is the incident response plan. So a step-by-step plan for what to do when a breach occurs. So when a breach happens, instead of running around with your hair like your hair's on fire, what are the steps that you have to do to properly mitigate this risk, and then the subsequent remediation of what happened. Quick overview. So building your WISP, the quick walkthrough version of it. So the WISP template is available in the IRS publication 5708. So you can download the WISP template and just fill it out, and there you go. You've got the WISP. Typically, it takes anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to complete, so it doesn't take much time at all. And I mean, without it, you're talking a six-figure fine without having a WISP. So step one is just to open the template. There you go, download it and open it. Step two, you complete the data inventory. So that's listing the software that you use that's critical to your business, any devices that you use for the business, and then any locations where client tax data lives. So if you've got a folder on the computer or on a server or anywhere that stores all the data, make a note of that. And then step three, document your access controls. So who has access to what and why? Include any multi-factor status for each system. So if there's a certain platform, a website that you use for tax purposes, for client tax purposes, that doesn't have multi-factor, make a note of it. If you've got email accounts that don't have multi-factor, or even if they do, just make a note of what has multi-factor and what does not. Step four, so you write your incident response. And this is where, again, when an incident happens, who does what and what are the proper procedures? Because say that you find out that an email account of your business is randomly sending out emails to your clients, and it's not the person that owns that account. Well, rather than, get scared and nervous and what do I do? The incident response plan lays all this out ahead of time, so that way you're prepared for when the unthinkable happens. And then the last item, you just got to sign, date, and schedule the yearly review. So no documents official without a signature and date. And then with the WISP, you have to review it yearly to ensure that it's up to date, everything's current. If employees leave or if your software platforms change, you've got to make sure that yearly that you're keeping the WISP up to date. So then by the end of the quick overview, you'll be able to complete the WISP, data inventory started, your multi-factor checklist for your tools, incident response framework, and then a name security coordinator, and then your annual review date set. And that's as simple as going into your calendar a year from the date you complete it and just put WISP review. And then designated your information security coordinator. So who is in charge of being the lead? What they're responsible for. So they are responsible for maintaining and updating the WISP annually. They're the ones that are to ensure that all employees are completing their security training. They manage the vendor and third-party access. So any vendors you use or other partners, the security coordinator is the one that is in charge of ensuring that giving them access, but then once they're finished with what they need, revoking their access. And then they're also in charge of overseeing the incident response when a breach happens. So they're the person in charge of just, who does what and making sure that things go smoothly. They keep access logs and audit records, reporting to firm principals on security status. So if there's an issue or something doesn't seem right, they would be the person responsible for letting those in charge know this may be, maybe we should take a look at this and fix this. And then who can serve as the security lead? So the firm owner, which is the most common, in a solo practice, if you're the only one that's there doing this, doing the work, you are the security lead. Or if you have more employees, you could do a designated senior employee, someone that's been there a while, knows the ropes, knows how you do things. They would be the ones that they would make a good security lead. Or if you have an IT company, your outsourced IT/managed service provider. That is another common one that larger organizations use, that maybe they have multiple employees and they have an IT provider that they work with outside the office. And IT providers, as long as they are in, one of their niches is financial institutions, they will know exactly what needs to be done. Again, solo firm, you are the lead. If you're the only person in your business, then you are the person in charge of the WISP. What gets tax firms in trouble and how to avoid it? So the five most common issues that we see. So you've got a WISP, but you've never updated it. So maybe you created it 2, 3, 4 years ago and haven't touched it since. So the IRS does require an annual review. So you should set a recurring calendar reminder in your calendar the day that you sign it. Set a reminder for 1 year from that date to review the WISP. And then no multi-factor on tax software portals. We've also seen no multi-factor on email accounts. So software packages like Drake, Pro Series, Lacert, Thomas Reuters, they all support multi-factor. You've got to enable that today. And even for your email accounts. Storing client data on personal devices. So you've got personal laptops and phones with client data. You've got to encrypt and document in your data inventory. So if you are going to use client data on personal devices, those devices need to be just as secure and locked down as the office devices. There is no, I'm doing a couple of things on my personal computer, but my main computer at the office has all the securities. The personal device needs to have these securities as well. And then the other common thing is no employee training records. So even a one-page sign-off sheet after a quick team review counts as documented training. So, if you have a half hour and a 1 hour meeting and you educate the employees on what to watch out for, having a one-page sign-off like, yes, we did the security training, that is enough to satisfy this requirement. Number 5, skipping the incident response section. This is the section that the IRS looks at first after a breach. It must name the specific steps and contacts. So again, an incident response is meant to be there that when there's a breach of your business or your accounts, what do you do? Without it, you've got no idea. You've got no plan. So when the IRS audits you, or if they come in, when there is a breach, the first thing they're going to ask for is, where's your incident response plan? Let's ensure that this is, implemented and let's get rolling. And if you don't have one, you're not compliant and could be subject to fine. So get your business risk assessment today. So, like it says there, stop guessing where you stand and let us know exactly what could be exposed. So we do a 20 to 30 minute business risk review where it could be Zoom or a phone call or in person, whichever you prefer. And it's about a half-hour meeting at most. And we just we ask questions. We review, do you have this enabled? Do you know if for sure if it's enabled or not? And, in the end, we help figure out if you've got any gaps between the IRS and FTC requirements. We find out if you've got multi-factor enabled and access control audits, and then whether you've got data storage and encryptions enabled, and then also your backup and recovery review. So again, it's a free 30-minute tops meeting, and when we're done, we provide you with a full summary. And, if you've already got an IT provider, you can take this information back to them and they can help you resolve any gaps that we may uncover. We've done this many times, and even with companies that have an IT provider, and we've found gaps, even though they've got a provider, and they've taken the summary back to their current provider and resolved all the issues. So it didn't cost them anything, and they ended up better protected after our meeting. So again, if you're interested, there's our phone number and our website. Please reach out, and we'd be happy to get you on the schedule to do a business risk review for your financial or tax professional office. We also do them for any small business. So if you've got any questions, please reach out. Thank you for watching, and hope you have a great rest of your day.